Welcome back. You know, when I get together with these guys, I feel a little bit like we're just kindred spirits and we just kind of change our hats. It's like, hey man, you want to wear my hat? Because what they do is very similar to what we do here on Park City Television's Mountain Views program. That being said, it's always a blast to hang out with people who do have their own take on things. And of course, we're all aware of the power in the year 2018 of podcasting. And these guys are doing their thing here in Salt Lake City. And they are gaining traction and continuing to find success with their podcast, even though they had me as a guest. It's called Your Cre8tivity, and the creators of Your Cre8tivity are here this evening. Dylan, John, Mazziotti, and the Stephen Hatch. Woo, 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 woo. Are we doing it? We decided we're bringing it back.
Okay, but see...
Raise the roof.
I'm concerned. Because I watch your shows, and I'm pretty sure Andy Frasco sat on this couch.
He did.
Without any socks on.
Yes, he
so
did.
His bare feet were on this very spot.
You know.
Did you sanitize this? Like, I mean, I think that maybe somebody should have dry cleaned.
The couch goes out to dry cleaning after every show, don't
So
worry.
I'm good?
You're good. You're good.
Thank God.
Well,
okay.
You know Andy Frasco, so you know him better than I do, so.
Well, I just am not sure where those feet have been. But I know that they've been on this sofa, so that's a good thing. And we know that your standards are way up here, and I'm bringing you down.
I don't know about that. I don't think that at all. I'm happy to have you guys here, and yeah, it's a long time coming. We worked for a while to get scheduled to do the podcast, and
yeah, some snowstorms stopped us a few times.
That's right. We did have snowstorm issues, wintertime. Dylan, how are you, man? Welcome.
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Talk a little bit about the inspiration for the podcast and getting things up and running and running into this guy.
Well, I got the idea for it. It started as a blog, inspired by my brother's blog, Always Funny in Salt Lake, which he did years ago, interviewing comedians all the time. And I work with Wise Guys Comedy Club, so I didn't want it to be strictly comedy, you know. So I have friends in the film industry and fellow artists. So it started as a blog, and then it just evolved into the podcast. And 41 episodes later, here we are.
Cool. Talk about what's it?
He's amazing.
It's a cool thing. I mean, you have to have that. If we go back to Stripes, right? Sergeant Hulka. Every podcast needs a big toe, and Dylan is that big toe.
I've never been called a big toe before.
Sergeant Hulka, man. He's the big toe, without a doubt.
I'm like the little pinky toe that gets like jammed every now and then.
Oh, but you bring so much to it, Steve.
I don't know. No, Dylan's way talented, and this guy knows everybody. So I just show up where Dylan tells me to show up, and I
did the same thing, and it worked out great for me.
Chocolate shop.
Meet you at the chocolate shop.
I can do that.
That seems to be the main spot, but we can set up wherever and interview anybody wherever works for them.
Over 40 interviews in, what has been the biggest surprise of doing the podcast, or is there a person who was significantly different than what you anticipated? What's been the biggest surprises?
Just people's willingness to share their stories. You know, sometimes it goes dark or kind of somewhere you didn't realize you would go with that person, and just watching them light up as they talk about what they do and that they love what they do.
Yeah, it seems like in some ways, like once you had the idea for the podcast, it's like, okay, well, that's awesome. We can just do that every week. Just talk about creativity, talk about where the font of inspiration comes from, and all those kinds of things.
And I'm an introvert, so me being on TV is a big deal for me right now.
I love it. You're doing great, man. Look at you. There you are.
There we go.
We're all here.
Am I too shiny, or am I okay?
Believe me, there's a lot of shine on this program every single day.
It's that glow you give.
Is that what it is? That was kind
much.
of. Thank you for saving me on that, Steve.
Everywhere you go. I mean, you brought it to the chocolate shop.
Sure.
It's like you have this little halo following you around everywhere you go.
Well, I'm a lucky guy. We live a pretty good life. As we discussed when we were together for the podcast, you make chocolate for a living.
But I eat it. Like I can't even say I make it. I eat it. So that's my job, is to eat the chocolate.
Do you keep track at all of like generally how much chocolate you consume on a daily basis?
No, but I mean, I guess I should. I mean, I should.
Well, it would be
I should,
interesting
like,
for scientific purposes.
I mean,
right?
they probably they charge me or they weigh my salary is based on how much chocolate I've eaten.
Is that how
and
you
they'll
do it?
just
You
start
weigh in
deducting
at the
by
beginning of the
$35.99
day.
a pound. So as I gain weight, they start minusing my checks. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and open this box, and there may be some folks. I realize that you're a well-known person around these parts, but there may be some folks who aren't familiar with you and familiar with hand-dipped chocolates.
And we're a day late because this is your birthday. I mean, this is like after birthday celebration.
It is. It is.
So we thought
it's
you would
chocolate.
like chocolate.
The successes and the failures of my birthday are contained in a
And
delicious
one box of chocolates.
Post.
Mine might be like a rum nut, which sounds cool, but then you have the nut, and it's like kind of brings it down a little. Just saying. Yeah. But look at you, you're going for like a spicy one. I mean, that's a salted caramel.
Well, we had this conversation last time. That's such great chocolate. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you kind of got the life, man. You got an entertainment thing going, and you know about the entertainment business.
A little bit.
You have a savoir-faire that's as a result of being in front of the camera, right?
I know. I'm just lucky. Okay, I have an amazing life. I eat chocolate, and I get to do a lot of fun things. So does that work?
I think so. And you have
knocking
enough.
on wood.
You have enough energy left over to cheer for the Jazz.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of the caffeine I drink keeps me kind of hopping. But the Jazz, they're not looking so good at the moment.
No, I actually went to the game on Sunday night. It was fun to be there.
You jinxed them?
Is that what I
You were
did?
the reason that they lost? Oh my
I
God!
thought I was just there
Was that like the
cheering.
first game you went to this year? Because I think their plus and minus was pretty good, and you somehow twisted that all up, and
Well,
you brought them down.
I don't know, because I went with my pal, Olympic skier Mark Engel.
So it could have been Mark's fault?
Well, Mark was saying all afternoon before the game that whenever he goes, the Jazz win.
Well, then the only conclusion
Then
is
it's you.
Wow.
So when they're packing up tomorrow, this guy right there.
It's so funny because I had been so excited for you guys to come visit.
Well, you're not there tonight, so.
That's right. Hey, everybody can rest easy because I'm not at the game tonight, so they've got a chance, right?
But okay, they've been really fun to watch this year, though. Like they're playing as a team, and for basketball lovers, like I like that there's not just like one amazing player. There's quite a few players.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they all have their roles. So okay, looking at our podcast. My role is being a smartass, and then do you know what? Dylan here is like the key person. I just kind of show up, and without Dylan, our podcast would be nothing.
Well, I mean, it's a team deal, right?
Yeah, it's a team deal.
I'm like the water boy for the Jazz. I mean, that's my role, is providing liquid.
A water boy with good questions.
Yeah, right. You participate.
Sometimes. Every now and then I come up with some good questions.
Don't sell yourself short, Steve. You're a tremendous slouch. I don't know why. I just have all the old movie games. Hey, you guys, let's take a quick break, and I want to talk some more about kind of the ins and outs of how you put together a fascinating podcast. So let's come back right after this. More with Dylan Mazziotti and Steve Hatch. Your creativity. Please stay tuned.
Whoop, whoop.
Welcome back to the Mountain Views program here on Park City Television. We are chatting with the progenitors of the Your Creativity podcast. We got sidetracked on the Jazz a little bit, but here come all of the hard-hitting questions about podcasting for Dylan, John Mazziotti, and Steve Hatch.
The hard ones are for Dylan, though.
Okay.
The tough questions.
There's not really any hard ones. I was just kind of curious, like, is there a standard process as far as like kind of, I mean, obviously the subject matter is creativity. are there common questions? I think I can't remember, there was one at the end that you had asked, that you said, we asked this of everybody, but do you vary the questions based on who and what your subject does?
Yeah, how I prep for it is I have 4 standard questions, and this is just my process. Sometimes I don't ask all the questions, but 4 kind of standard questions.
Because he has this process, and I just mess it all up.
You just destroy
so like he
it.
has a good process.
So the 4 standard questions, and then 4 customized to what they do: filmmakers, comedians, artists, and then the 2 bonus questions: who's your favorite Muppet and why, and who would play you in your life movie?
Oh, that's right. That's right. And I don't even remember what I said to the final question.
You liked Animal.
I liked Animal. I remember that, but I don't.
Didn't you call Slash a Muppet?
Your nephew.
Oh yeah, your nephew.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Connor Leonard. I forgot.
I'm a listener.
He's definitely. Yeah.
I'm a-
you
I'm a
were
lis-
there,
I'm a
so there's
listener.
that.
Is your nephew.
You guys have a pretty good chemistry when you do this thing. And Steve, I know you jokingly say, well, I just come in and screw it up and that sort of thing. But there has to be a dynamic, like how you guys work together. Was there a getting to know you phase? How do you guys go back? Have you guys? I kind of presume that you guys have known each other for a long time, huh?
Well, when he had his TV show, I watched it and wanted to go check it out once I found out. that
Dylan
it
was our one listener or viewer.
Whatever.
Well, my wife watched too, and my kid liked it. So so I went up to the shop, met him, and he's an awesome guy, and we just kind of hit it off. And
One of the friendliest dudes around, for sure.
But I'm just lucky. I mean, honestly, Dylan wanted to co-host, and I was like, I'm all over that. Let me do it. And for me, I love people. The biggest reason I love our chocolate shop is I meet people from all over the world. And the coolest thing is everybody has a story. And by doing the podcast, I get to hear just some stories of, all the different people.
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
really fascinating for me. And I think my questions come from, I'm sick of the bullcrap questions that, everybody has this fixed questions and they want to promote themselves. I hate those. And I want to throw them off, and I actually want to hear more about them and the tough questions, some that aren't as easy to answer, but that really make a person a person. So that's where I come from more and ask questions.
Have you surprised yourself with questions that you've asked in that kind of a spur of the moment based on a conversation? Because I guess that's the thing that I do, is rather than having a set of index cards, is I want to listen to what you guys have to say and enjoy your vibe. Is that similar to your...
But see, I wouldn't say I surprised myself. I think our guests surprise me quite often, where I'm not so sure that I even know them. And I find out all about their personalities or their backgrounds that I would never have suspected, and I couldn't even have seen it on paper. So that's been a surprise. I like that part of it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's got to be fascinating. I mean, I enjoy doing that here, but you guys have an expanse of time it's a really different thing. You can go to some places, and also I think stay some places once you get into an area of conversation that, we're pretty short format here, so it's a little different deal. But what's coming up next for you guys? Who's coming up that you're excited about?
Goat Yoga Utah.
Goat Yoga. We were discussing Goat Yoga last evening, and it seems that that's a thing.
I might get sat on by a goat.
Me too.
I don't know about that. I'm going to go with I don't want to get sat on by a goat.
That's more of a crawl. Crawl
Well,
around on your back.
that changes everything.
Yeah.
Terry, don't knock it until you try it.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
actually think
Fair
that
enough.
there's plenty
That's a
of
good
room here
point.
for some goats.
Right on. So, most importantly, though, I'm super excited. When is the Terry Burden episode launching?
We'll throw it out tomorrow. Does that work, or tonight?
It's fine by me.
Okay.
Hey, you guys are the bosses.
Do you want
I
it
just-
tomorrow?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay,
There we go.
we're going to put it out tomorrow.
Okay.
Just for you.
Okay.
Terry wants it. It's out tomorrow.
It said nobody ever.
No, you demanded it.
All right,
It's
fair
coming
enough.
out.
I've always wanted to be a Devo, so maybe this is my initial. That's right.
Tyson, where's that podcast? Get that podcast going.
Oh well, it's great to see you guys, and had a wonderful time being on the podcast. Cool logo. Check out the logo. I like it. Did you do that, Dylan?
I did that. I'm a graphic designer by trade.
There you go. That certainly shows. It's very graphic. I know that sounds like an obvious thing to say, but you can really read it. It's just great stuff. It's really cool stuff. And where should folks go to find out more about the podcast?
Utah Podcast Network. It's part of a network, about a half a dozen or so shows. There's a sports show. Most of the other shows are hosted by comedians like Guy Seidel, who you've had here many times.
Yes. The
Marcus,
Dirt Pod podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we're the coolest.
Of course. We knew that. I knew that. Shameless plug for Hatch Family Chocolates.
Come eat chocolates. Outdoor movies coming this summer.
Oh, really? How fun. Congratulations.
You guys should come visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come join us for the movies.
Well, I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys, and I honestly, one of the things that is a little bittersweet about doing something like this, it kind of reminds me of being in a musical or in a play in high school, because you have a great time, and then it's like, it's over.
It's over.
You can rewatch
The
us.
podcast is not going to happen again.
Just keep rewatching us.
Oh, we can have you back.
Okay. Can I be on the production crew? Can I be like a PA or something? Just come and hang out at the Chocolate Shop on Sundays, and
That works.
can I do that?
You can do that.
Okay.
We'll save you salted caramels. So that's
That'll
the
be your
bonus.
payment.
And what's your website, Steve?
A Hatch Family Chocolate something. I don't know.
Something.
I mean,
Some-
just Google Hatch Family Chocolate.
Hatch
see what
Family
comes up.
Chocolate something
Not something.
.gov.
Dot
Google.
.org.
.google.com.
Whatever.
Well, it's delicious chocolate. You guys are awesome. I really enjoyed doing the podcast and also just being in touch with you guys, and we'll certainly keep an eye out and look for more podcasts to come. And best wishes for great success. You guys are a ton of fun to hang around with. And
Thank you, Ted.
it's one of the beautiful things about podcasting is that having met you guys and hung out with you guys, it's like, we need this podcast. It's a cool thing, and I can't wait to hear the latest episode.
Well, thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks.
Your Creativity is the podcast. Tomorrow, the episode featuring Park City Television's Terry Burden, in which he cries extensively and talks about how much he misses college basketball. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more George Charles Nelson III right after this.